The handles of the grocery bags dug into my hands, cutting deep little red lines into my skin as I stepped inside my own home. The late afternoon light filtered through the curtains, that warm golden glow that usually reminded me of Sunday dinners with my husband before he passed. But not today. Today, my heart was already heavy. There he was, my son-in-law, sprawled out in the recliner that had been my late husband's pride and joy. His feet, clad in white socks with worn heels, were propped up on the armrest. A half-empty bottle of Corona dangled lazily from his fingers. The television blared some sports channel. He didn't even glance my way. "Grab me another beer while you're up," he said without looking away from the screen. I set the bags down slowly, trying to keep my voice even. "I just got in. I need to put the groceries away." He finally looked at me, one eyebrow raised like I just told him something absurd. "And? You're already standing." "That's not the point," I replied, keeping my tone level. "This is my house. You can get your own beer." His smirk tightened into something more condescending. "Our house," he said. "Tiffany and I live here. We pay the bills now." Before I could respond, Tiffany appeared in the doorway, dish towel slung over her shoulder. She looked between us like she'd walked in on a fight between children. "What's going on?" "She's making a big deal out of nothing," her husband said. "I just asked for a beer." "Mom, it's not worth it," Tiffany said, turning to me with that same disappointed tone she'd used as a teenager when I didn't agree with her. "Just get him the beer." I looked at my daughter, my only child, the little girl I'd held through storms and sickness, the one I'd raised in this very house, and I didn't see her anymore. I saw someone who'd decided her husband's comfort was worth more than my dignity. Then she said the words that would end it all. "Either help Harry and do what he asks, or pack your things and leave." The air in the room went still. I should have shouted. I should have cried. Instead, I smiled. A small, calm, unsettling smile. "I'll pack." Her mouth fell open, but I didn't wait for a reply. I walked down the hallway, the sound of my own footsteps echoing in my ears that I didn't bother turning back to see their faces. I could imagine them, Tiffany with that bewildered expression she used to wear when her teenage rebellion backfired, Harry with a smugness fading into unease. In my bedroom, the one with the pale blue walls my husband and I had painted together the summer before his illness, I opened the old cedar wardrobe and reached for my suitcase. The zipper stuck for a moment, but I forced it open. I didn't take much. A few changes of clothes, my toiletry bag, my worn leather wallet. I left the jewelry box untouched, the framed wedding photo on the nightstand exactly where it had always been. Every step I took was deliberate, measured. There was no rush. No storm of anger propelling me. Only a cool, steady resolve I hadn't felt in years. As I packed, I thought of the nights I'd sat at this very bed's edge, nursing my husband through fevers, whispering to him that everything would be all right. I thought of the years I'd worked double shifts at the diner, scraping together every dollar to make the mortgage payment, to keep this house not just as shelter but as a home. I wheeled the suitcase out into the hallway. Tiffany was waiting there, her arms crossed, her mouth tight. "Mom, you're overreacting," she said, trying to sound firm but landing somewhere closer to uncertain. I brushed past her without a word. Harry muttered something under his breath, something about pride and stubbornness, but I didn't catch the exact words and didn't care to. At the door, I paused only long enough to pick up my keys from the little ceramic dish by the coat rack. I had always been the one to hang them there, in their proper place. The spring air outside was cool on my face. I pulled the suitcase down the steps and into the driveway. My car, still registered in my name, waited patiently, the backseat empty and ready. I slid my bag inside and started the engine. I didn't look back at the house as I pulled away. I knew every brick, every shingle, every scratch in the white paint on the porch railing. I didn't need to see it to remember it. That night, I checked into a modest hotel on the edge of town. The bed was too soft, the wallpaper dated, but it was mine for the night. No one barking orders, no one questioning my worth. I slept with the window open, letting the cool breeze carry me into the first truly peaceful sleep I'd had in years. Over the next week, my phone lit up with calls, 22 missed calls from Tiffany by the time Friday came. At first, the voicemails were casual. "Hey, Mom, can you call me back when you get a chance?" Then they turned sharper, more urgent. "Mom, we need to talk. It's important." I didn't answer a single one. Because for the first time, I knew they weren't calling out of love. They were calling because the balance of power had shifted. When I pulled the folder out of my suitcase and laid it on my sister's coffee table, she nearly spit out her tea. Inside were neatly stacked documents, the original sale deed of my old home, the transfer of funds, and, most importantly, the mortgage agreement for my daughter's house. My name wasn't just on the papers, it was the first and only signature. I'd been paying half the monthly installments since the day we moved in. The smug way her husband strutted around, talking about his home, made me laugh now. They had no idea the bank saw me as the primary owner. My sister's eyes widened. "You could take that house tomorrow," she said, almost whispering like the walls might tell on us. And she was right. That I sat there, sipping tea, imagining their faces if the bank ever called in the mortgage under my name or if I simply stopped paying my share. But I wanted something better than just repossession. I wanted them to feel the weight of what they had done. The next morning, I visited my lawyer. He looked over the documents and confirmed what I already suspected. With my name on the agreement, I had legal rights not only to the property but to the decisions about who lived there. A slow smile spread across my face. If they wanted me gone so badly, I could make sure they were the ones packing their bags. Back at my sister's house, I started moving like a chess player setting up for checkmate. I stopped all payments to the bank, knowing the shockwave it would send when the next bill came. I made a quiet call to a property manager I trusted, asking him to start looking for tenants, not for me, but for the very house they thought they owned. The thought of my daughter's husband trying to explain to strangers why they had to move out was delicious. The irony wasn't lost on me. They had thrown me out of a home that, on paper, was more mine than theirs. The call came exactly 2 weeks later. My daughter's voice was trembling, and in the background, I could hear her husband shouting. "Mom, the bank says we're behind on payments, and they mentioned, your name is on the loan. What's going on?" I let a pause stretch long enough to make her sweat before answering. "Oh, sweetheart, I stopped paying. You told me to leave, remember?" "Well, I did. And I took my money with me." The silence on the other end was sweeter than any apology could ever be. Then her husband grabbed the phone, his voice dripping with panic. "You can't do this." I almost laughed. "Actually, I can. And I already have." I hung up before they could start bargaining. By the next week, I'd signed a lease with a nice young couple who could actually appreciate the home, and who had zero interest in telling me where I could or couldn't live. The day they moved in, I drove by one last time. My daughter and her husband were dragging boxes to a rusty pickup, their faces red with rage and humiliation. She caught sight of me and froze, but I just waved, smiling the same smile I'd given her when she delivered her ultimatum. Back at my sister's, I felt lighter than I had in years. My lawyer called later to confirm the deposit from the new tenants was safely in my account. Justice hadn't just been served, it had been plated with silver cutlery and a side of poetic irony. I didn't lose my home, I simply changed the locks. And as far as I was concerned, they got exactly what they had asked for.